Welcome to the Successful Nurse Coach podcast. On this podcast, Laura
and Shelby, both board-certified nurse coaches, show you how to make as much money as you want in private practice as a nurse coach. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Successful Nurse Coach podcast. It is Shelby here today. I am flying solo, and I wanted to bring you a topic that you know this stuff. You just don't know that you know it yet. And I wanted to bring some context around some points of relevancy and intimacy in your business. And this is a framework that Laura and I have been working with for almost a year through our mentor. I will link his book in the bottom. Just note that if you are brand spanking new or you are in certification, this is something that I want you to be aware of. It is something that you do not need to be a pro at to get started. Okay. Do you promise that you hear me on this? This topic also flows really beautifully into the concept of a niche and why all of that can be super important. So shameless plug, come join us for the niche workshop next Friday. I'm going to be talking about this and so much more on that workshop. But let's dive in. Let's just get into it. This is going to be a teachy moment on the pod today. But yeah, this is a framework from one of our mentors. I want to be sure to mention that. And again, reiterating that this is a higher level concept, but it is something I wish I knew about sooner. And I just want you to know that there are resources for you when you are ready to take a deeper plunge. I'll link his book in the description here. That all being said, I'm talking to the nurse coaches right now who have coached 10, 15, 20 clients. You are a paid coach. You have experience under your belt. You have a little bit of traction in your business. This is something that you can probably trend. This is something to consider as you move forward. And I remember when Laura and I were scaling our business a few years ago, we were so worried about losing the human to human connection, the human to humanness of our business. We didn't want to sacrifice that. And I think that when you take these three topics, I'm going to give you context around, this is how you get to hold on to those things. This is how you get to still have a heart-centered business, a service-based business, a human-based business, and not lose all of that in the back end and the tech and the automations and all the hoopla, right? Because if you are not relevant to people, then all the back end stuff doesn't matter. Anyway, so these three things: relevancy, omnipresence, and intimacy. These three topics are going to help you win and help you keep people's attention. It's going to help you create honest connections, build trust, and by showing up consistently, you get to be top of mind to people when they're going to solve their life's problems. You are already everywhere. They know just where to go. Their local neighborhood nurse coach. But let's start with relevance. So this, I think, has the most relevance to niche. That's the worst sentence, but relevance pertains to niche, probably the most out of this list. So being relevant to people, this is why we have said for years that your ideal client is usually a previous version of yourself, because it is who you are most relevant to. You have a deep resonance with a previous version of yourself that you do not have to fake. You don't have to curate it. You just get to simply be. This is why I love having a business to where I don't have to filter or be overly professional or just be something that I'm genuinely not, because it wouldn't be relevant to previous me. Previous me had even more of a distaste for professionality than I do now. It just would have been such a turnoff. I wouldn't have even paid attention to any of that as I was scrolling through my social media. So tapping into the previous version of you is going to influence to the quality of messages you send to potential clients. It's going to feel ultra authentic And whenever you reach out to people, people will say things to you like, oh my God, you're talking to me when you wrote that post a few weeks ago, or when I listened to the podcast episode you were on, or thank you for showing up. I love your posts. I love when you write. I look forward to the content you put out. You're going to start hearing things like that. So the more relevant you are to people, the more feedback you will hear like that. Being relevant is also how you hold people's attention and how your offers are received. It is the content you make. It is what you are saying to your market that attracts people into your world and what compels people to entertain, that you are the person that might help them solve their problems. And I want to spend this extra second on this topic or this piece here because I don't know that the goal should be to not be icky or salesy to everybody you ever meet ever. There will just be folks with different backgrounds than you, with different sales techniques, with different stuff. They just have a different lived experience, and you could never write the perfect post for them because you're not relevant to them, and that is okay. I want you to focus on who you are meant to reach, and who you are meant to reach is likely a previous version of yourself, and focus on them. They are your golden child, who you are after. So just remember who you're trying to reach, not everybody, just your people. Also, a little sub caveat here that it is really tricky to be relevant to people if you are unclear on what you offer. And this is why I say to take this information and tuck it into your subconscious and pull it out to your conscious mind in a few years when you've had some more coaching experience if you're new. Because you can coach people and you can make money without having a niche. I've seen hundreds of people do it before. I did it. Laura did it. It's 100% possible. And you are more relevant when you have a specific offer, when you're known for a specific thing. You can be relevant to people without it. And they're people might feel attracted to you, but they're not going to know why. And neither are you. So you must be able to communicate who you are, who you serve, and what you offer, with a little bit of clarity to start increasing your relevancy. If you can't understand what you're offering, then people aren't going to understand what you're offering, and they're not going to be able to digest it, especially when there's 100 other things competing for everybody's attention all the time. And I hear this from nurse coaches a lot of it's just hard to put into words what I do. It's hard. And I want to be present with that, and agreed. It is hard, especially when you're learning how to put it into words. And again, I think that you can get away with this for your first 50K. It's not a deal breaker. But I want you to be practicing putting what you do into simple and clear statements of, what is the need that you solve? Who do you work with? Is it nurses? Is it moms? Is it male nurses or dads? Who is it? Who is it that you work with? Even if it's intricate and complicated and deep and feely and healy, and it's all those things, we need to find out a way to put that into simple, digestible terms. And a helpful thing here can be to think of pain points. How do your potential clients verbalize their discomfort? What is the language that they use? It's helpful to be thinking of that when you are practicing here. And the reason this is so important is that it is uncommon for clients to undertake the necessary research to get to the bottom of something that is intricate and complicated. And so do this work for people. Do the explaining, let them know why it's important to them. Don't make them go hunting for it. Also, cool thing about coaching people that you are most relevant to is that it's going to cut down on unhappy customers, aka refunds. This is not something that nurse coaches who have been through our program, it's not something that we deal with often, but long-term, over years of time, you're not going to want to have to deal. We don't want to deal with as many refunds as we possibly can. So if you are coaching people who are most relevant to you, we're going to have a decrease of refunds. You're going to have happy customers, and it's going to decrease overall your back-end support and allow you to serve your clients more efficiently, more effectively, and more powerfully. All right. So we're on board with relevancy. You are most relevant to someone 3 to 5 years behind you in the timeline, a previous version of you. So yeah, brainstorm. What have you been through in the past 5 years? We've all been through a really big global event. And yeah, like, have you left your job? Have you deepened your sense of motherhood? Have you tackled your anxiety and depression? Have you parented teenagers? Have you, have you been through a transition? Have you graduated school? You get where I'm going with this, right? Have you lost somebody that you really loved and navigated grief? Have you lost 50 pounds? Did you start an exercise routine? Have you completely transformed your life in the past 12 months? Talked to somebody earlier this week who did that, which was amazing. There's so much potential here, right? So brainstorm some ideas. All right. Second part of this is called Omnipresence. Sounds very spiritual, but it just means to be everywhere your potential clients can look. And I like to caveat this with, like, this can be easy. But omnipresence, the definition, is the strategic distribution of your message, your brand, and your marketing. It's when your audience feels like you and your message are everywhere they look. And it's really easy to let your mind kind of go crazy here and be like, oh, well, I need to buy ads and put my face on a bus and do all of these things. But I just want you to keep it simple for now. Like, yes, all those things can be true, but keep it simple for now. Put it on your social media, be sending out emails, be on Facebook, be on Instagram, send a monthly newsletter. It can just start that simple. We want it to feel like wherever they look, you are giving them value, right? So educate, share your stories, share your testimonials, share why you love what you work, share your methodology, share your process, all of these things. Again, you can see why it's helpful to have a few hours of coaching under your belt here so that you can actually speak to these things and not just BS your way through it. As you do this over time, people are going to feel more connected with you as a human and as a person, which means that it is going to increase their trust factor with you, which will be important. Here in a second. All right. Intimacy. I want to caveat this of, like, don't worry, you're already really good at this. If you're listening to this, nurse coaches are excellent at being intimate with people, not in a sexual way, but just like in an open, vulnerable, deep space kind of way. I think it's part of our training that we've been through. But most entrepreneurs, like, are not great at this. I've just seen other coaches. I've had lunch with other coaches outside of the nurse coaching space that really struggle with this part. And I think that we do this really well just by nature. So point us in the nailing it category here. So this is where we shine. Intimacy builds trust, and trust is a crucial part of people exchanging money with you as they go after their vision, right? They trust you to hold a space for them because you have built intimate connection with them and created a safe space for your client to really go for it. So how do we build it? Intimacy is built when you show up consistently to share value with your audience, when you are transparent and authentic in the message that you share, and when you spend time actually building relationships with people in your audience. This can look so many different ways, but I just encourage you to where, like, if you make a post, interact with the people who comment on it, be genuine, say what you would really say. Like, don't think, what would nurse coach Shelby do? Or if I was ultra professional or ultra got it together, what would I say? I just genuinely say what I would say if you were my best friend commenting on my post. This builds over time. This is not a one and done. This is not one season and we're done forever and I never have to do it again. All of you are here and attracted to the way Laura and I do things because of organic marketing. And this is how you build an organic network, by talking to humans. All right, team. What do we think? What's coming up for you right now? I want to give an example here of how we have leveraged relevancy, omnipresence, and intimacy over the years, and how our business has exploded. because of it, particularly last year and the year before. 2021 and 2022 is when things really went from like awesome to even more awesome in our business. But I think that we have always done a really great job with intimacy in our Facebook group, right? That's a really easy way for Laura and I to be connected with you guys, to answer your real questions in real time, to be there. It's also a really cool place for our bigger, wider community to also chime in as well, right? So I think our Facebook group does a great job of this. I can't do the same kind of connecting on Instagram as I can in our Facebook group. It's just different. It's more intimate. And Facebook has this community feature to where like Instagram doesn't really. Not that you can't build a connection or a community on Instagram, because you definitely can. It's just going to flow a little different. We have our relevancy, like we know our stuff. We've always known our stuff. Our content's been really good. It resonates for people, right? The organic marketing, the belly-to-belly connection, coming from a heart-centered place, creating offers, providing true transformation, all the things that nurse coaches stand for. Our content has always been super relevant to you guys. But I think what really allowed us to expand very rapidly was the omnipresence leg of our business. And when I think back and reflect back, I didn't have this framework, but we just kind of lucked into it. Of whenever we started our podcast last year, like we had if our business was a really well-nurtured fire, we poured gasoline on the fire, and then we got some fireworks and we put those on there too. And then we got more gasoline and more fireworks. And we like the podcast was just insanity for our business in the best way, because we got to show up every single week and be in your ears, and you got to know us, you got to like us, you got to trust us, you get to learn more about us, you get to, I've had a few clients be like, the words that you say, like golden nugget, or the phrases that you use are just so funny to me. And like, you wouldn't have been able to pick up on those things just through Facebook posts or emails or anything like that. So I think that the podcast really upped our omnipresence kind of overnight, so that we could be in many places all at once on your time. Whenever you wanted to listen to podcast, we were there. And it just, every week we've been really consistent. We almost have 100 hours or 100 episodes of this podcast done. So like whenever people build the trust through the podcast, they know us, they like us, they trust us, then they get on an application call. They're already a yes. I'm just further qualifying them for the space to make sure they're the right person. And it's made our sales process super, super easy too. So that is an example of how this could work. I think that we probably always would have ended up here somehow, but being able to look back and give like a really concrete example, we were niched down. We serve nurse coaches who want a lucrative private practice. We had the content in the system to back it up. We were everywhere. We're in the Facebook group. We're on Instagram. We're on email. We're on the podcast. And like, if you send me a message, it's me responding. If you send a message to my Facebook, it's me. Or Instagram, it's me. If you send an email to us, it's me or it's Laura. Even Amanda, our project manager, is a nurse coach, but she doesn't respond for us. We handle everything. It's at all. And I think that we're able to do that because we offload other things. But like if you have a worry or a concern or anything, you have Laura or Mai's attention. And I think that goes a long way. Like we really, really care, and you really, really feel it when you're in our bubble. So what do you think? Who are you relevant to? How can you be showing up more? How can you be omnipresent? And how can you up your intimacy? Let me know. I want to know. This is a newer concept. This is a newer thing that we're bringing in. You might hear us use this language from time to time. So holler in the Facebook group. Come hang out. Also, just want to like celebrate all of our mentees that are jumping in for January. You guys, we're filling up. We're filling up quick. I think I've had 4 yeses this week to jump in for the January space. And not to be like super biased, because you can start living in your purpose and start your vision and start your dream at any time. But there is something special about January energy. So if you want a fresh start, you want a blank slate, you want to be in our bubble now, come talk to me, send me a message. Sending you lots of love, and we'll see you next week.